Malop akal titulakales, tene mayaen incabae Emma Pineda, incajale acanque Ulumil, Yucatan. Greeting and welcome everyone. My name is Emma Pineda. I am Program Officer of Latin America and North America region at Pawanka Fund. It's a pleasure to me to be your facilitator together with Luchi Maranan for this exchange today. Buenas noches a todos, buenos días también. Bienvenidos, mi nombre es Emma Pineda. Soy maya de la península de Yucatán en México y es un placer para mí ser su facilitadora junto a nuestra estimada compañera Luchi Maranan. As indigenous traditional to begin the gathering in a good way, we will begin with a spiritual prayer. Our colleague, Nidia Bustillo, will guide us in this prayer. Dear Nidia, you have the floor.
Ayim tuta, ayim punchay, wawake panakuna. Noga Nidia Rosemary Bustillo Rodriguez Sutini, Cochabamba Manta, Kani, Hampirikani. Good afternoon, good evening, sisters and brothers. I am Nidia Rosemary Bustillo Rodriguez. I live in Cochabamba, I am Quechua, and I am a healer. Also, I am working for Pawanka Fund as a program officer for the regions of Pacific and the Arctic. I am going to perform the prayer as my teachers taught me. We are going to ask the protection of our guides and ancestors. We are working as healers with the 5 elements of the nature. Because why I say 5 and not 4? Because the civilization has let us forget that there is one element in the universe that it is called ether. And this element is in everything. It is the energy that moves the universe. Then we have water, we have fire, we have earth, we have air, and we have the ether. Now we are going to ask the Lord of the air to be with us. I am going to clean the space. For having clear thoughts. Brothers and sisters, we are going to work with the air. And you know that the air is the first element that we have when we come to here, to this place, to the Caipacha, to the surface of the earth. And the air is also the last one that we leave when we have to start our travel to the eternal time, or Wiñaypacha, as we say, to join to our ancestors. With the air, we create also the words. And with the fire that it is in our soul, we feed the words that we are going to use. When we talk with hard words, we are reflecting cruelty that is coming for our inner being. And it says that we are not controlling our fire because it is burning within us as a volcano. Because we know that the words can be more dangerous than the sword. Words can kill, but can give also life. It is why we say that we have to be coherent between what we think, what we feel, and how we act. If we don't do that, we are going to be imbalanced and we are going to get sick. We can lie everybody, but we cannot lie to ourselves. We cannot lie to our spirit. That is why it is so important to have good intention when we are saying or when we are talking something. If we criticize and we say that we are seeking for peace and we are in our mind in war, with conflicts, with envy, we are increasing the destruction in the world. Finally, if one being is suffering in the planet, we also suffer. That is why we are so responsible for our lives and the lives of other people and other beings in the planet. That is the power that we have. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best for this meeting. Pachi.
Thank you, Nidia, for these beautiful words. Now, I'm sure this is going to blaze this event. We will now continue the program with the opening speech from our guiding committee, Namaka Rowling, a woman with a long story of work in revitalizing the Hawaiian language. Dear Namaka, welcome. You have the floor.
Right. Aloha mai kako. Greetings, everyone. I'm happy to join all of you today on our language exchange. Ayavau ma Hawaii, mokupuni, kauka mauna kea ya I hope o mako'u aina. I'm joining you from here on Hawaii Island with, I put up the screen of the mountain behind me. That's Mauna Kea. I'm not too sure if you're able to see that. Yeah, that's thank you. So again, I'm starting again. So greetings, everyone. Mahalo nui ke ia hui ana o kako. Mahalo nui e Nidia ke ia ho'olauna ia kako I ke ia la. Maluna o ka ike o na kupuna na Quechua. So I'm so thankful for your opening, Nidia, and opening the space and giving us this beautiful time to open it together for all of us to be here. And I see some friends here. And one thing that, I think we do have a lot of the similarities in our indigenous languages. So Nidia, as you spoke about our words and the language that, that our words can have, death, and it also can have life. And we have an olelo no eao, a Hawaiian proverb that speaks to that exact thing. Ika olelo no keola, ika olelo no kamake. And those words come from our teachings as well, similar to yours, about how strong our, what our languages can do, because it's the speech that comes out, and what is hurtful, what can be, controlled, and all of that. So the work that we're all doing in language revitalization, and I see many of you from all over, that we all understand the significance of the need to keep our languages alive. And I see someone has a hand up. Am I supposed to be answering a hand? Oh, it went away. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I saw a hand go up, so I thought maybe someone was asking me a question. anyway, getting back to our gathering today, I am so excited that and feel like energized every time there's more of us, you know, I say warriors or advocates or just upholding our languages for our people and our nations, that it's so important because it is a you know, it's the very, very important work that defines who we are, where we're from, the lands that we come from, the names of the places, our ancestors, all of that, where our bones are buried, where our everything, it's all there in our language and our knowledge base. So I am excited that we have this time to share and it just excited. So thank you very much for being here. Aloha.
Thank you, Namaka, for your warm welcome. On behalf of Pawanka Fund and its guiding committee, we welcome and thank you for joining this global virtual exchange on traditional knowledge in the different ways of revitalizing indigenous languages. A special welcome to our guiding committee member, Namaka Rowling, and to all our partners who are here with us today. Out of the 6,700 languages spoken worldwide, 40% are in danger of disappear. Indigenous people make up less than 6% of the global population, yet they speak more than 4,000 of world languages. Most of the languages that are under threat are indigenous languages. However, indigenous people are implementing innovative strategies to preserve and revitalize their languages. Therefore, Pawanka is convening this exchange to promote the sharing of experience, the different methodologies and practices, including the exchange and lesson learned in the revitalizing of indigenous languages. As well, to learn more about the network and alliances that our partners are using in their efforts. This with a view to contribute to the International Decade of the World Indigenous Languages. With regard to what you expect from us today, we have invited 5 indigenous organizations to share with you their experience and lesson learned in the revitalizing of indigenous languages. We also invite you to introduce yourself and your organization in the Zoom chat, as well as sharing your experience and talk. This will be following by a round of questions and answers moderated by the facilitator, Luchi Maranan. We encourage to everyone to have their microphone turned off and only active in the time that of your intervention. Thank you very much. Dear Luchi, you have the floor.
Hello, magandang umaga sa ating lahat. As we say here in the Philippines, naimbag ngal daw kada tayo amin. As we say it up here in the northern part of the Philippines in the Cordillera region. So good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us in this language exchange, where we shall be listening and learning about our best practices in language revitalization. As I was introduced, Luchi Maranan, the Program Officer for Asia, I shall be facilitating this round of discussions and sharing from our invited panelists from various regions around the globe. They shall be talking about their organization's initiatives, how they are revitalizing their languages, and being appreciated by the next generation. They shall also share about their community's response to these initiatives and efforts. And also, of course, the various means and forms that they are using. And as we expect, there are challenges in this endeavor. Before we start the formal discussions, I would like to remind the audience that you can actively take part, as Emma has said. You can take part in the discussion by virtually approving or applauding the sharing. There's the reaction button down there. You can choose. And then maybe the questions will come later. Okay, before, so I hope the 40, how many participants do we have? The 46 participants are now ready to join this wonderful and exciting discussion. Without further ado, let's begin with our first panelist, Professor Lisa Linda Natividad. Hello, Lisa. Long time no see. From the University of Guam and the Pacific Indigenous Women's Network, Guahan. An indigenous Chamorro, Lisa is also the primary convener of the Guahan Coalition for Peace and Justice and a founding member of Ihagan Pamalawan, Guahan. She's going to present a video and a PowerPoint on their ongoing project, Voyaging Across Indigenous Oceania, revitalization efforts to sustain our mother tongue. Okay, Lisa, you have the floor.
Salamat, Luci, and hafade hamdu todo guahu silisa natividad tata guahanzo no ifamiliaku manamoro. Welcome and hello, greetings to you all from Guahan. I am a native Chamorro, and I bring our language story with you all today. I'm trying to do the screen share and I'm having a little bit of difficulty. Can you enable, please, the screen share? Okay. Okay, can you see my screen, my slide? Are you able to see?
Yes, we can, Lisa. Yeah, we
wonderful.
can.
Wonderful. And so thank you all for the introduction, Luci. And it's so wonderful to see your names and faces from the Pawanka Fund, who has been so supportive of our work in the Pacific Indigenous Women's Network. And so as we talk about our languages and our strategies for revitalizing our language, I wanted to share with this opening slide that's a picture of a recent meeting of our network, the Pacific Indigenous Women's Network. We gathered in the state of Chuuk in the Federated States of Micronesia. We had representation from Aotearoa, from Hawaii, from Guahan, from the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, and the Federated States of Micronesia in this gathering. And I share with this picture because it's so inspiring, because in places like Chuuk, the language is not at risk for disappearing. Their indigenous tongue is the primary language of use in their jurisdiction, and it really gives us inspiration as we fight to maintain and to keep our languages. And so I am from the island of Guahan, also in the Pacific. I'm trying to advance my slide and it's not going. Okay, there we go. Okay, next slide. Or let me see if I can do it here. Okay, here. So I'm from the island of Guahan, and on our island, as you can see here, across a 30-year span, the number of our native speakers of our indigenous language has been steadily on the decline. And you can see there, in a population of about 170,000 people in the 2020 census, there is just about a little over 20,000 who speak our native language. And so in some ways, our language is at great risk. And so advancing to the next slide, approximately 80% of our native speakers currently are over the age of 55. And so as you can see there, as our elders age and as our elders disappear, move on into the world of the realm of our ancestors, our pool of people utilizing our language on a regular basis is decreasing. And so for that reason, we are fighting very arduously to maintain our indigenous language. And so one of the strategies that's used in my homeland is the enactment of Ikumishoni Finutsumoro, the creation of a Chamorro Heritage Commission since 2016. And so part of what our commission has done has been tasked with developing resource material to be able to transmit the language. And also central to their work has been the development and of our orthography, orthography and tomoro, that we update on a regular basis so that we know how to spell our language as well, so that we keep up with the grammar rules. And then on the left of my screen here, I'm sorry, on the right of my screen here, you see Minecraft. And this is a new project that we're working on at Commission. And what this is a partnership to use the Minecraft game that targets children and create a Chamorro version of it so that we can use it as an opportunity to transmit not just the language, but also cultural practices and ideas. And so next slide. Are you seeing my slides? I just want to make sure. Oh, yes. Okay, we are on the same page. Okay, so the next slide is a recent effort, and we thank the Pawanka Fund for their generous support over the years with our network, our Pacific Indigenous Women's Network. And our most current project is titled Voyaging Across Indigenous Oceania, Revitalization Efforts to Sustain Our Mother Tongue. And so with the support of Pawanka, the Pacific Indigenous Women's Network was able to convene a meeting of over 200 people in a conference titled Tiacha Sasau, Dinanya Purifino Tautautono. And so the theme is it's never too late. Because there's feelings of despair in the loss of our language. And so this reminds us that, and this convening brought us all together to share our strategies in terms of what's effective as we all work together to preserve our language. And so I think what really needs to be spoken is that when we talk about language revitalization, the solution is not to sit in a classroom where we're just teaching the language in and of itself by itself. What we find that's really effective has been to work intersectionally with other areas of living and of life. And so on this slide, you see on the left, some of the blessing of our space was brought in by chants from our children who are in the high school programs and sharing through chant and through song and through dance, the language. And to the right of this slide, you see the gathering where we had actually spent an afternoon at the traditional seafaring canoe house, because in traditional practices such as celestial navigation and navigating the stars, in the process of teaching navigation as well, again, are contained the language and the very high level concepts and words in our language that are quickly disappearing. And so that's our efforts toward preserving that. And so I have a very limited time. And so as my time is coming to a close, I wanted to share a video of our children that are in our immersion programs, because we know from the research that language immersion programs are the most effective. And, you know, earlier we heard from our sign and Namaka Rollins share a greeting, and she and they folks in Hawaii have been at the forefront of using this methodology to preserve our languages. And so we learn very greatly from them. I had the privilege of visiting their programs earlier this year. And so I'd like to share this video with you. 1 second, let me make it widescreen. Can you see this? Okay, here it goes.
Dear Lisa, we are hearing, but we can see it, the video.
When children learn language in a school environment, everything
There's no
is
video, Lisa.
Oh, don't cut.
There's
We
no
just
video.
hear the audio.
No,
Just the audio.
not see the
Okay.
video.
Okay, if it's okay with you, Lucy, what I'm going to do, I seem to have some interface issues on today. So I am going to put in this chat the link.
Oh, the link.
I
Yeah, you
ask
can
you
just
to bring it up. I'm having difficulty. Everything I'm putting on the screen is not
Yes,
coming
I'm
through.
just asking the link of the video. You can type
Yes.
in the chat box so that we can
It's
Yes,
there
she just
already.
did.
So click it, scroll down. If you scroll a little bit, you'll see the video link, and then you can just click on the video and play.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
we
don't
can
know
see
what's
it.
happening today. I'm on a different computer, so the interface is.
Oh,
we
there
go.
it is. There it is.
Yes. Thank you.
But it's going so fast.
Little bit further. Little bit further. There you go. There it is.
Okay.
Thank
There,
you.
okay. but there's no audio.
When children learn language in a school environment,
Okay, now.
everything is a lesson. From lively lectures expert guidance and a safe place to practice make a world of difference. When language is allowed to live beyond the classroom, learning is accelerated. Infusing language into family time, playtime, and character building helps naturalize its application so the learning possibilities are endless. Ubas. Manzana, como la manzana. These are concepts central to language immersion education and the primary tools that Chief Rao Academy uses to successfully produce Tamoto speakers. Rao, everything is a lesson in the Tamoto language. Our team of immersion educators understand that practical application is key, and Rao's curriculum is crafted with this in mind. Rao's language immersion methods holistically support language beyond the classroom by integrating parents into the curriculum at the onset. We ensure they are equipped with the tools necessary to nurture Tamoto in their homes.
Okay, that's good because the audio's got some difficulties. We can go ahead and
utilizing these language immersion methods, Chief Rao Academy has successfully produced Tamoto speakers since 2005. We believe that providing full language immersion environments will continue to produce speakers, and that this will remain an essential part of Guam's efforts to revitalize and sustain the Tamoto language.
Okay, Sidzu Ismasi, and thank you for sharing that. I know the audio wasn't the greatest, but it is such a showcase of our littles. We have our immersion program for 3- and 4-year-olds, and our our elementary school. We have a feeder program that goes straight into the immersion school program, and we currently are running up until the 4th grade. And so every year we add an additional grade level, really modeled after what we've learned from the Hawaiian system. And so I also wanted to share that Pawanka very generously awarded Ihagan Famalawan Guahan a year ago a grant that supported almost 10 of our children in the immersion school program for a year's period of time. So we're really grateful for the support over the years that Pawanka has been able to help us in being able to retain our indigenous language. Sizu Ismasi.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for that very inspiring, wonderful presentation. To remind our audience, our participants, Lisa has to leave because she's a teacher at the university. So if you have questions now or comments about her presentation, you can give them now. Are there? It's so inspiring to see children really appreciating the mother tongue. That's why they call it the mother tongue, no? It starts from infancy, the mother talking to the child in the native language for the child to acquire and speak it until the child grows up. It's a wonderful presentation. Do we have any questions? None? Okay. Okay, we have from Francisco Sen. Go ahead, Francisco. You have a question?
No, solo un comentario que me pareció muy impresionante todo lo que nos comparte Elisa, ¿no? De hecho, yo estoy trabajando una parte en eso con otras comunidades de aquí de mi zona. Me parece muy interesante y saber que quizás no estoy equivocado, ¿no? En esta cuestión de que todo nace de la casa y la familia, ¿no? Y en este caso la lengua tiene que venir de esos contextos, ¿no? Del contexto de ir a la milpa, del contexto de jugar con los compañeritos que hablan maya. En este caso, en mi zona, tengo maya de Quintana Roo, México, y comparto mucho eso, ¿no? Desde ahí nace eso, esa interacción con la lengua, el aprenderlo, el escuchar que papá, mamá está hablando, abuela, mamá están hablando sobre la cocina, ¿no? Y todo eso es muy importante, ¿no? Coincido mucho con la compañera Lisa, ¿no? Y me agradó mucho su proyecto que quizás tendríamos contacto para poder enriquecer este trabajo también que vengo realizando con las escuelas primarias de educación indígena para esa implementación, porque, como diría mi papá, la educación es triada, viene de los niños, del docente y de la familia, ¿no? Es mi aportación, mi participación y gracias, Lisa. Muchas gracias y a Fundación Pawanka también por la invitación y formar parte de esto. Voy aprendiendo mucho. Gracias.
Thank you, Francisco, for your comment, for your sharing about your work too. We also have another reaction or a question from Ching Lomi. Okay, the floor is yours, Ching.
Yeah, hello. Good morning, everyone.
Hello.
This is Ching Chipa from Nepal. And then thank you, Lisa, for your great presentation. And what you are doing is very great. We encourage from your presentation. So my question, I have some question. My question is, this community, this language community is monolingual. I mean, like only their community together or like mixed community? And then you are running this project in school academy. So if there are like multilingual children, how you guys are managing in this language? And then, yeah, and then how government is supporting or like helping or working together with you guys. So this is my question. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Ching. For us, we are very much a multilingual community. Our society now speaks primarily English, especially because we're a very multicultural society. We have different ethnic groups represented here. We are very lucky because as Chamorros, we have not lost our indigenous language. You know, there are different groups that are trying to reconnect to the indigenous language, but our elders still speak the language. And so we're at great risk for losing it in the transmission to the next generation. And so for that reason, we've really been fighting hard for the last 20 years. And I just want to underscore that there are many different approaches in terms of language revitalization. But what our research is evidenced, you know, and that's why I wanted to share the video, because the children are immersed and lingual, so much so that some of them, because their parents do speak, it is their first language, you know. And what a victory it is when you have a young child that begins elementary school in the public school system and hangs out with the women that are older working in the cafeteria and feel like they're in a foreign place because they don't speak English, right? For us, that's a real victory. So we just really try to normalize the use of our language and to embed it everywhere, because our goal is to create fluency for people, not just to be exposed to the language or know a few words in the language, but to be fluent in our language, so that when we think in our language. And so that's why the multiple prong approach is really critical, and creating different pockets of environments where the language is spoken.
Okay, Lisa, thank you so much. I would just like to read a comment here from Masla Rompado from Malaysia. Hi, Lisa. Appreciate if you can share model of the project. Maybe we can adapt the model for us here. Okay. We have another question or comment from Binodan Tripura Zabarang. Okay, Binodan.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the chance to say something. And thanks, Lisa, for nice presentation and for sharing the videos. I just would like to know, do they have writers for this language? I mean, they're senior persons, they can write their books, or and also I would like to know, do they have a separate script for their mother tongue? The last question is, up to which grade do they have textbooks for schools? Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you for that question, Binoda. And on Guahan, we're catching up in the Pacific. Hawaii has really, where Saina Namaka teaches, her home island and the big island of Hawaii, they have a very elaborate system all the way to university, even to the PhD in language revitalization. In our case, we're still baby steps. That's why we are inspired by their work, as well as with the Maoris in Aotearoa in New Zealand, because they're far more advanced. But in our case, the development of the materials is really, really critical. And Chamorros exist across the Mariana Island chain. Our island is Guahan, but we also have Chamorros in other parts. So we felt it was really important to standardize the writing. And so the development of the orthography that focused on grammar rules, as well as spelling, is a very important step. And so that has helped us in terms of the guiding of how to teach the language. And currently the program that I shared with the video is 3 and 4-year-olds in preschool. And then our public school system begins with kindergarten and at present goes up to 4th grade. So every year we move a cohort of students up the next level. We develop the curriculum during that time frame, and we're doing our assessment to check for its effectiveness and to see what strategies are most effective in the classroom, so that ultimately we reach our goal, which is that of fluency. Right? We want to make sure that there's mastery of the language at more advanced levels. And so I tell you, Binoda, one of the big issues that we're wrestling with is finding the sophisticated words, right? What are the very advanced words in our language to be able to capture these concepts in the educational system? So, we're wrestling these steps and we're just pressing on and doing the best that we can. And over time, we just are getting better at it. We're producing more speakers, and it's really inspirational, because saving our indigenous language is in so many ways saving ourselves.
That's true. Thank you so much for those words. There are so many ideas we want to share, but maybe we can reserve them for much later, because we still have 4 panelists to go. So for our next speaker, thank you so much, Lisa. Very inspiring, very encouraging. And don't worry, participants, we're going to share the entire proceedings with you after this webinar. And that's what we mean by learning from each other. Okay, for our next panelist, we have a very hardworking, busy media person and a lawyer at that from Nepal. He's right now in Sweden attending a conference, but he has found time to share the language project of his organization, the Indigenous Media Foundation, of which he is the chairperson. Dev Kumar Sunuwar oversees the Asia Program of Cultural Survival, an organization supporting indigenous peoples, and has brought forward He has brought forward the issues and challenges faced by Asian indigenous peoples at the United Nations and other international fora. Before we listen to his sharing, his discussion, let us watch the video that they are going to share with us. Okay, may we have the floor, the video, and then Deb will have the floor after the video.
There is no audio.
Yeah, is there no audio for technical team? Can we please have the audio of this? Or, okay.
Television. This is the signature tune
Okay,
of
there it is.
television. The first and only Asia's multilingual indigenous community television. It has been 8 years since the signal was first broadcasted on television sets. In 2016, a group of us working indigenous journalists in Nepal realized a collective dream to give voice, access, and participation to our largely ignored, ethnically diverse sector of indigenous peoples. Our primary mission is to inform, educate, and entertain the indigenous peoples of Nepal in the language that they speak and understand.
Sewanne semuna amki jarata saya tupunanin inka ritara rarahang kacipen amkim anyang.
We are reaching indigenous peoples of Nepal who are the most marginalized and excluded groups alongside television sets, also through mobile apps and digital technologies across Nepal and throughout the globe. Indigenous television is an audio-visual media that genuinely reflects society, which is diverse in terms of language, ethnicity, culture, and rituals. Indigenous television and its sister television channel, ITV Nepal, have been Nepal's only multilingual television, producing TV programs in 20 different indigenous languages, including Nepali and English. We have prioritized indigenous people's issues, and we have given the spaces to produce and broadcast indigenous language-based television programs, music videos, documentary films, serials, and short stories, putting indigenous peoples and their languages at the center. Since the advent of indigenous television, indigenous peoples, who constitute about 40% of the total 30 million population of Nepal, and other marginalized and isolated minority peoples, now have a sense of connections because of the content available in their languages. Indigenous television has been a silent revolution to amplify the voices of indigenous peoples of Nepal, bringing their histories of a struggle for survival, their rights to ancestral land, territories, and natural resources to the attention of international audiences. Today, indigenous television reaches even the most rural areas of Nepal. Our team provides indigenous peoples access to programming in their own languages and serves as a voice promoting their cultures, traditions, and belief systems. Our team and program producers, predominantly indigenous youth, primarily women, are dedicated 24 hours to the master control room, camera, light, sound, management, administration, and field-based reporting. 8 years may be a short period to assess the impact of language promotion in Nepal. Still, indigenous television has been able to record, broadcast, and digitally archive at least 20 different indigenous languages through television programming. Indigenous television today has become the best means to transmit indigenous languages from elders to the younger generations, as it offers tremendous opportunities to record languages that previously had been transmitted orally. Indigenous television is much more than a medium of information. It is a mission to guarantee indigenous people's right to information, right to communication, and right to media, as provisioned in Article 16 of UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. It is also the only means of entertainment and education for indigenous peoples of Nepal in their languages. Indigenous television has helped in the preservation, promotion, and revitalization of indigenous languages and to foster a positive attitude toward language and culture, while also aiding to language learning. The television team also interacted with each indigenous language speaking community to document how they have revitalized their languages.
Lungmending sewaro nirantar bahas konyaktong timbio kontimbio gizum kirek punsan enusa oga lamdag metung angka nisis angdemne ekang indigenous television kusitang no unda kizo pa ITV Nepal lam no kita konyaktong timbe akan nirantar bahas timbe an kira tatum jumlung no indigenous television re
the lack of financial resources has further challenged us to sustain and continue the operation of television smoothly. In this connection, the media partnership with each partner has helped us gain our work visible internationally. Therefore, thanks to those organizations who supported indigenous television to help preserve, revitalize, and promote indigenous people's languages, linguistic diversity, and multilingualism through media in Nepal.
So that was the presentation from Indigenous Media Foundation. Now a brief discussion by Dev. You have the floor.
Thank you, Luchi, and good morning, good evening to all present here. As Luchi said, currently I'm in Sweden, so it's midnight. At early in the morning, it's 4:45. The indigenous television, as you have watched, that we launched in the year 2016 on August 9, on the day of a day of World Indigenous Peoples, and it has been 8 years. We have been producing TV programs in such a number of indigenous languages. One of the reasons that we actually came up with the idea to start radio first and then television was in Nepal, about 12,000 media outlets which are in operations, newspaper, radio, television. But the medium of these media, the content production is only Nepali or English. If we look into the diversity of language in Nepal, there are 142 different ethnic and caste groups, out of which government of Nepal has recognized to 59 ethnic and caste groups as indigenous peoples, and who make up about 40% of the total population, that 30 million. That means they make up about 12 million population in Nepal. And the language diversity, if you look into, about 124 different languages which are spoken in Nepal, out of which 95 languages are spoken by indigenous peoples, and about 3 dozen indigenous languages. That means close to 40 languages which have speakers less than 1,000, less than 10,000, which are likely to be extinct in let's say a couple of decades. So since the media, the content of media were not available in any indigenous languages, so we thought, why not we start radio or television, let's say a medium, to give a platform on the indigenous languages in Nepal. That is the idea that that came up, and we started first a radio, community radio. We started in a remote area where there is no access to road or no access to electricity as well, where our indigenous communities are living. And we started producing radio programs first in different indigenous languages. But the radio was reaching only in limited area, not influencing to the policymakers. So we thought, now why not start a TV? So in 2013, we started radio, and in 2016, we launched a TV. And why radio and TV for indigenous peoples is that, like in many parts of the world, indigenous peoples are oral community. They don't have a writing culture, even though some of the indigenous peoples have a script, their own distinct script, which they don't have Unicode standards. That is not supported by this recent media technologies. Therefore, one of the best medium for them to communicate is the radio, the audio and visual, the television. In comparison between radio and television, the television uses both audio and visual, so it is perhaps better medium, one of the best medium for them to document, archive, and also transmit the indigenous languages. So what we did, initially we started producing radio programs. We learned that how indigenous communities are connected with the radio, and how they actually have a kind of affection or love with the radio. Once their language is being on-aired through the radio, we found that they are really proud of having their languages presence in the media as well. So we replicated that idea with the television. And in television, right from the beginning, initially we started producing TV programs into 8 different indigenous languages, and slowly we increased, and then on and off. We have been producing TV programs into 17 different indigenous languages, plus Nepali and English as well. And we are really thankful for Pawanka Fund. Last year we have been funded. We have been given a grant to continue these smooth operations or producing TV programs in different indigenous languages. Plus, we also made an effort to reach out to at least 15 respective indigenous language speaking communities, representative organizations, and do a media dialogue in order to find out the ways and means that they are undertaking in order to document or in order to transmit their languages. So many indigenous communities, without any funding from any outside outsiders, they have been undertaking, some indigenous peoples organizations, they are undertaking the initiative to teach their languages to the younger generations, like Lisa shared, to the kids. And some indigenous communities are developing the dictionary. Some have documented the poems, songs, and these efforts are really helpful in revitalizations or protections of their indigenous languages, and we have been able to find out the ways to collaborate each other and use the existing media, that means the television, indigenous television, to continue teaching indigenous languages throughout this decade. And one of the lessons that we learned is, once during the COVID, I would like to give you, what influences that we could make is, during the COVID-19, as all across the globe, we're in lockdown. Many radios or television channel in Nepal were sharing the informations in how many people were infected by the COVID, or how many people actually died in this part or that part. But one of the niche that we did was we translated, we produced public information, public service announcement into several indigenous languages, and we started broadcasting throughout the 24 hours. So one of the impact we saw it, that the government agencies, including UN agencies and other INGOs, actually came up with us, and they requested us to translate their the health-saving messages that they produced, and also broadcast to the televisions. And later on, we've also figured out that some of the public-run radios, government-run radios or government-run television, including private televisions, actually started producing TV or radio programs, at least in a couple of indigenous languages too. That means silently we have been able to influence, make other television investors also realize that there is a need to produce the TV programs or radio programs in different local languages. So that is how we have been able to influence in Nepal, and we have been using massively we are trying to increase the number of languages having presence in the televisions, and frankly speaking, the indigenous communities, we hardly find any journalists or any producers who went to journalism schools, who are trained in journalism and coming to the television or radio. What we did was we actually reached out to respective indigenous communities, and we tried to find the young generations who can speak into English, but they have interest working in the media. So actually we trained them, we provided them basic journalism training, and we just trained them how to ask questions, how to face the camera, how to face a mic, and actually we gave them a kind of platform, and we have been able to we have been able to train at least a couple of journalists in each respective indigenous language speaking communities, and at least we have a bunch of indigenous language program producers from different indigenous communities, and we have been giving these lessons or model that the other indigenous brothers and sisters from across the globe who are not that lucky enough to start a radio or televisions, and to give a lesson that it is possible, we can do it, starting our own radio or televisions. That is what we have been doing, and at last I would like to thank Pawanka Fund also providing us a grant, and we look forward to continue a partnership with funding. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dev. This is a very interesting development in terms of, propagating the indigenous language with the use of technological innovations. We have the first question here from COD, Centers of Distinction, from Elena Regpala. She says, we are curious how much the Nepali government has budgeted funds for indigenous people's language development vis-a-vis funds from Nepali private sector. Would you like to answer that, Deb?
Yes, Luchi, and thank you, Code. Thank you, Alina. Frankly speaking, I should say no, none. Government has, whenever you listen to the statement of the government in international forum, perhaps you have followed the UN forums, government says that we have developed curriculum into different indigenous languages. We have provided spaces for indigenous languages in radio or television that we have run with. So that means Nepali government also runs a radio, runs a televisions, and has produced curriculum as well. But the thing is, that is merely a translation. For instance, they have a curriculum in Nepali, and that has been translated into 23 24 different languages. So that the government actually says that we have produced curriculum into different indigenous languages. In fact, indigenous languages has not been a medium of teaching in the school. Whenever we see same stories we can find in the Nepal television, which is government-owned television. Government says that we have a television, programming in different indigenous languages, but merely that is a translation. They have a Nepali bulletin, news bulletin, and that is translated into different indigenous languages. And the producers, they are not free to produce their own languages or their own issues to carry out in the television. So I say there is no budgeting for the indigenous language that directly goes to indigenous community and can actually use that fund. And a private sector is reluctant to provide. In Nepal, we are lucky that Nepal government has recognized indigenous peoples, but the fact is this is the Nepali government as well as all the private sectors are reluctant in order to recognize or giving spaces on open spaces to speak up on the issues of indigenous peoples as such. So there is no budget at all, even from the private sectors. I think that gives you answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dev. It's just an affirmation that it will be coming from the initiatives of the indigenous peoples themselves, to encourage, to make this a dynamic language revitalization campaign. So are there any more questions regarding Dev's discussion? It is so interesting that traditional knowledge and practices are being disseminated through technology. So it is a fallacy that indigenous peoples are against technology and development, because it's a very effective medium of transmission of knowledge. Okay. Do we have other questions? So we can, from Francisco Sen. Francisco, the floor is yours.
Francisco? Gracias, pues como lo decía, muy emocionante de escuchar este proyecto que tiene Dave, de que la lengua indígena llegue a estos medios de la tecnología, de la televisión, Reitero, yo soy de aquí de la comunidad de la zona maya de Quintana Roo, México, y existen, puedo decir, algunos canales, que sí existen algunos canales, sin embargo, no se enfocan realmente a la cultura o la lengua, sino que siempre se mantiene ese estándar de siempre lo colonial, Pero al escuchar este proyecto, esta iniciativa, como que me abre la mirada a saber de que hay otras opciones, Esto de la televisión, de que nuestras lenguas lleguen a la televisión, De enseñar, de mostrar, hacer ver todo lo que se trabaja en las comunidades, Que no solo tiene que ser la televisión nacional o la vida que se vive del colonialismo, cosas así, sino que realmente también en la zona, vamos a decirlo así, por decirlo, la zona indígena, como lo mencionan, pues sí tiene mucha riqueza y hay mucho que dar a conocer. Felicidades por el proyecto y las buenas vibras para que siga creciendo. Saludos.
Okay, thank you, Francisco. We have another comment from Lucia in Chiapas, Mexico. Lucia Quintiltic. But I think this was an earlier comment. Let me read it. It's also interesting. In Chiapas, Mexico, we promote public information with cultural relevance. That is, all actions carried out by institutions are reported to indigenous communities in indigenous languages, because we have a law about our language. And then another one from Chipalomi. Indigenous television is doing great job to revitalize and promote indigenous languages in Nepal in between many struggles. That's also interesting because it also covers political issues. Palab says, Palab Chakma, thank you, Deb, for your interesting intervention. All the best wishes. Okay. Okay. Do we have, oh, okay, we have another comment from Trifonia Ernie from Indonesia. There are more than 200 traditional languages in my place in West Kalimantan province, Indonesia, including the community I come from. It's the same as what Lisa said, that over the years, traditional languages are rarely used by the community because the sense of pride in one's own language has diminished. They are more proud of their children being able to use foreign languages. On the other hand, efforts to revitalize it were not carried out. So Lisa's sharing, and of course Deb's also, is very inspiring. So we hope we can share further about this advocacy carried out for indigenous language revitalization. So thank you very much for your comments. Now we move on. Thank you so much, Deb. Thank you so much for this very inspiring and insightful discussion from you. Now we have our next panelist. He's also from Asia. He's also another busy man. He's another busy fellow who's always tied up in community meetings and consultations. We have with us Mr. Hing Bunath, who is the executive director of the Organization for the Promotion of Kui Culture, or OPKC, whose language project included mapping of language experts, trainers' trainings, research, and integration of indigenous language into their local school curriculum, intergenerational transfer of language, active encouragement of people to practice their culture and language in schools, workplaces, and spaces of livelihood. So we shall hear more of this from him after we watch this interesting video that OPKC has produced. And I think there's also a PowerPoint about their project. The floor is yours, Bunath. Good morning. Shall we, oh, that's still for later. We still have the video there. Can we have the audio, please? Or okay, there.
បានអនុវត្តគម្រោងលើកកម្ពស់ការនិយាយភាសាម្ចាស់ស្រុកមួយក្នុងពេលការងារដើម្បីសេដ្ឋកិច្ចជាប្រពៃណីសំដៅដល់សាមគ្គីភាពដើម្បីសហគមន៍មានសិទ្ធិអំណាច
ហើយរៀងរៀបរៀងហើយហើយសុខភាពអស់ឡើងទៅប៉ះប៉ះសុខភាពទៅមិនឡាច់អស់ឡើងមិនចេះតាញ់ទៅតែណាតាមឡាច់អស់ឡើង
Ini tiada terus tadi ada jauh di Pancumai kalau banyak ini jauh oke lalu biasa baik macam bapak ini main bola pak panurian ini dua ni kuan mau ikut birian aja tu nah ini kuan ada ini kuan karena cina jat menyenang kuan nunggu tadi kan rian kuan je lah ada ni rian
ជនជាតិគួយជាពិសេសស្ត្រីបង្ហាញអារម្មណ៍សប្បាយចិត្តខ្លាំងនៅអ្វីដែលគម្រោងបានគ្រប់គ្រងឲ្យមានការនិយាយជាភាសាដើមនិងសំនៀងដើមនៃភាសាគួយ
Đấy là nhom thì một con núi nhưng cùng nhau chơi quay chim núi cũng được
trong ការងារប្រចាំថ្ងៃសហគមន៍បានសន្ទនាគ្នាជាភាសាគួយដោយបង្ហាញពីអត្តសញ្ញាណជនជាតិគួយទៅកាន់អ្នកក្រៅដែលជា
បាទ បាយមួយត្រង់នឹងទៅបាយមួយរៀនរ៉ាបាយទៅនិយាយទៅមើលនិយាយទៅបានបាននិយាយទៅបានទៅយ៉ាដាក់ទៅដែរបាទនិយាយឲ្យអំពីវិនិយោគតាមសប្បុរសជន Pawanka ulu sampai na thì họ cũng sang trong cái nó không những cái ông ta nó bố nó cái là có cái gì thì hay trong đây thì đấy rồi lâu mấy bạn thì cũng mê thì họ vào cái thầy rồi vậy nó tôi đang làm chọn thì gồm với cái cùng phong rồi thì này khi nó vào đây cái mặt cái đèn cái mặt cốt phun mà
តាមរយៈគម្រោងយ៉ាងហោចណាស់សហគមន៍ចំនួន6បានបង្កើតកម្មវិធីសិក្សាដល់កុមារជា3ភាសាគឺភាសាគួយភាសាខ្មែរនិងភាសាអង់គ្លេស
ការនឹងគឺការជួយរួមចំណែកបកសហគមន៍អន្តរជាតិនឹងគឺមានការរីកចម្រើនទៅលើសហគមន៍មួយគឺជាទាំងជំនួយមកនៅតែបន្តការជួយដល់សហគមន៍ចិត្តដល់ពាក្យ
Okay, thank you, OPKC, for that wonderful video. So they are actively promoting the Cree language in all spheres of community life, from school to their economic activities. May we hear now from Bunath? Are you going to present now your PowerPoint? He mentioned earlier he was having problems with his audio. So if there are colleagues of Bunath who are going to support him on this presentation, the floor is yours now. Bunath or anybody from OPKC? Bunath, are you there? Okay. I don't see the entire screen, so I don't know if Bunath is here. We may have to skip this for a bit. If we have questions and comments regarding OPKC's project, we can proceed with our next speaker. Okay, now moving on to our fourth panelist. Oh, okay, am I all right in moving forward? So there's nothing from OPKC for now because of technical problems? Yes? Okay, we now move on to our fourth panelist. She has sent us a video on how the Yaku indigenous people in Kenya are negotiating the long road to reviving their local language. Jennifer Koinante of the Yaku Laikipia Trust narrates the various efforts and means to keep their language being spoken for their identity as a people, to persist, and for the coming generation to be proud of who they are as a people. Now, Jennifer will be willing and ready. She's also ready to answer your questions about their initiative. Okay, we can now show the video presented by the Yaku Laikipia Trust. Is Jennifer with us now? We can also share our comments in the chat box later after we view the video. Can we show the video now? Technical team.
Luce, I'm afraid
Yes.
Jennifer is not with us right now for some reason or the other. I assume technical. So I think we could move on to the next one.
Okay, but the video, are we not showing the video yet?
As I understand, we have a problem with the video as well.
Okay then. Okay, that's no problem. But that's regrettable because I watched the video and it is so interesting about the Yaku people. So we move now to our last but not the least of our panelists. They are a team of 3 from Mexico, from the organization Empoderamiento Mazahua. I hope I pronounced that correctly. First of all, we have our speaker by the name of Carolina Santos Seguntos, and then she will be followed by Rocio Becerri Cruz, and then Carmen Sanchez Reyes. We shall begin and cap their sharing with the video presentation they will share with us. The floor is now yours. We start with Carolina, yes?
Emma, Carla, muchísimas gracias, muy buenas noches o buenos días, dependiendo de dónde estamos. Muchísimas gracias, Luchi, Carla, Emma, muchas gracias por permitirnos a través del Fondo Pawanka estar reunidas aquí. Teníamos previsto que se transmitiera un video previamente, pero creo que pues tenemos ahí algunos problemas técnicos. Entonces, primero pues agradecer muchísimo el poder darnos la oportunidad de compartir algo de todo lo que hacemos en comunidad. En Empoderamiento Más Agua tenemos uno de los objetivos más grandes, que es comenzar a enseñar y sobre todo a motivar un orgullo por la identidad mazahua y por su idioma, por nuestro idioma. Entonces, hemos comenzado a realizar este objetivo a través de 2 ramas. Una de ellas es la enseñanza de la lengua ñato o mazahua y de manera presencial, y la otra es empezar a compartir a través de las redes sociales algunas frases y contenido a través de banners, a través de reels, de tal manera que cada vez las personas de nuestra región puedan conocer estos contenidos y también ir aprendiendo mientras están a través del teléfono. Veo que ya está en la pantalla un video, entonces voy a dar oportunidad a que se proyecte y ya luego continuamos. Y me encantaría darle la palabra a Rocío y pues ya luego a Carmen, y si hay tiempo hablaría yo nuevamente. Muchas gracias.
There is no video, audio. We have some technical problems there.
Ok, bueno, lamentamos los inconvenientes técnicos. Prácticamente el video lo que compartía era como un día cotidiano de enseñanza de la lengua mazahua en una de las comunidades mazahuas de San Felipe del Progreso, Estado de México. Ahora voy a dar la palabra a mi compañera Rocío para que nos comparta un poquito sobre el tema de la creación de contenido. Y ya luego va Carmen Sánchez. Ok, gracias. Thank you.
Hola, buenos días, buenas noches, dependiendo del lugar en el que estén. Es un gusto poder estar aquí y poder compartir lo que estamos haciendo desde Empoderamiento Mazahua. Quiero expresar que para mí es muy importante estar aquí y poder compartir un poco de lo que se está haciendo a través de nuestras redes sociales. Desde Empoderamiento Mazahua, pues estamos tratando de impulsar la lengua indígena mazahua a través de las redes sociales y se están creando diferentes videos o reels que duran aproximadamente 1 minuto y que contienen frases breves en nuestra lengua indígena. Hemos visto que esta información ha impactado no solo al público joven, sino también a las personas adultas, incluso personas que no hablan la lengua como tal, y esto pues nos ha motivado a seguir como creando el contenido. Bueno, y no sé si en algún momento se puedan compartir como los links aquí a través del chat o algo para que ustedes puedan escuchar el video que lamentablemente no se escuchó. Entendemos que hay como cuestiones técnicas que pues no están en nuestras manos. Y bueno, también bueno, aparte de los videos, también se han lanzado imágenes igual con frases de palabras que expresan alguna frase en nuestra lengua. Desde lo básico, saludos, hasta bueno, también próximamente va a haber palabras como los números, las frutas y todo eso. Y bueno, de mi parte sería todo. Le cedo la palabra a la maestra Carmen para que ella continúe con lo que.
Buenas noches a todos. Kimin Reshetzihin, Nechuzgoy Carmen Sánchez Reyes, Nutzkon, Getskorin Shopultegor, Nuka, Nunyan, Urihichkome, Nushuin, Chitigome, Yo Carabaka Yini, Getskori Hichigor, Nunyan Yatro. Buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Carmen Sánchez Reyes. Yo soy la que está al frente con el grupo, apoyando en la parte de la enseñanza, aprendizaje. Bien, pues para motivar a los niños a que aprendan una segunda lengua, porque esa es su segunda lengua, pues se tiene que ayudar de varias herramientas como son los juegos, las canciones, los cuentos y aparte de todo el material audiovisual que ya mencionaron mis compañeras, hacemos uso de ellas para difundir nuestra lengua, para revitalizarla en las diferentes redes sociales. Y pues también se debe de emplear otras actividades que acompañan el aprendizaje, como la danza, la cocina tradicional, que estas aún no las hemos empleado por cuestiones de tiempo, pero sí es recomendable que los niños los vinculen con estas diferentes actividades para que de esa manera pues ellos puedan conectarse con la cultura y puedan conectarse con su historia y de esa manera fortalecer su identidad. Eso ayuda mucho. Y pues también el peso que ha tenido la discriminación ha sido, bueno, muy fuerte, pero pues nosotros como ya estando conscientes del valor que tiene nuestra lengua, nuestra cultura, pues debemos de hacer diferentes actividades para menguar todos esos fenómenos de la discriminación. Y la discriminación se puede demostrar o se puede manifestar más bien de diferentes formas. Pero nosotros tenemos que hacer conciencia constantemente, conciencia cultural, con los niños, con las diferentes personas con los que nos encontramos en los diferentes contextos, para que estas personas entiendan que estas lenguas son igual de valiosas como las otras, ¿no? Entonces, algo que ha hecho la discriminación es que ha puesto barreras, ha limitado recursos educativos, culturales, para que se pueda aprender la lengua, ¿no? Entonces, y también se le ha restado valoración en los diferentes contextos y en otras áreas, no solamente en el área educativo, sino y en todos los espacios. Entonces, ha ganado terreno la lengua de dominio, que es el castellano, pero nosotros hemos iniciado con con este proyecto que es retomar nuestra lengua, volver a tomarla, empoderarla para que las nuevas generaciones lo adopten y pues ellos se sientan felices y motivados, ¿no? Para seguir aprendiendo y disminuir las barreras de la discriminación, ¿no? Que impide que se hable la lengua y que les cause vergüenza, ¿no? Entonces, nosotras estamos haciendo este trabajo, que es un equipo de varias personas, y pues es importante hacer conciencia todos los días, en todos los momentos, con todas las personas, para que venzamos todas estas barreras de discriminación. De mi parte, es todo. Le doy la palabra a la compañera Carolina si gusta agregar algo más.
Ok, Carmen, muchísimas gracias, Carmen. Compartirles de manera adicional que nuestro proyecto, apoyado por Pawanka, inicialmente estaba dirigido a la niñez y queríamos impactar precisamente a las nuevas infancias con el fin de fortalecer su identidad y que empezaran a ver desde temprana edad algo normal el hablar la lengua de nuestras abuelas y de nuestros abuelos. Pero en este camino algo muy lindo que nos pasó es que la gente adulta empezó a interesarse por el curso, que la gente que ya lo habla quería aprender a saber cómo escribir nuestra lengua, porque nosotros hemos sido mayormente orales y una de las críticas más fuertes que ha habido a nivel internacional para ser consideradas como lenguas es que no tenemos un alfabeto estandarizado, ¿no? Entonces pareciera que eso nos resta a nosotros valor. Sin embargo, aquí pues abrimos las puertas para aquellas personas que ya lo hablaban y que quisieran aprender a saber escribirlo y leerlo sin importar la edad. Y también vimos el interés de gente de la adolescencia que también fueron bienvenidos. Entonces, nuestro grupo comunitario aprende los días sábados con el acompañamiento de Carmen y también es diverso. Creo que la más chica tiene 3 años y la persona más grande yo creo que está alrededor de los 40 años. Y juntos aprenden en el mismo espacio porque por ahora no tenemos la capacidad de tener a más maestras y de tener grupos separados, tampoco de tener espacios que estén también separados para darle una educación pedagógica más pertinente. O sea, creo que como organización tenemos ese gran reto todavía. No contamos con un espacio propio como Empoderamiento Mazahua. Afortunadamente hemos logrado tener negociaciones con la comunidad para que ellos nos puedan prestar un espacio, nos prestan las sillas, nos prestan el pintarrón, las bancas, o sea, todo lo que tiene que ver con la infraestructura para estar en un espacio educativo nos lo ha puesto la comunidad y estamos muy agradecidas por esa parte también. Y en el caso de todo el contenido de las redes sociales, hemos visto que ha sido muy bien aceptado. La gente nos empieza a escribir y nos dice, oye, las vimos que están empezando a compartir algunas frases y la gente que habla la lengua y que está en las redes sociales te empieza a responder en las mismas redes sociales o cuando hemos compartido, por ejemplo, una forma de saludar y ellas dicen, yo también conozco otra y empiezan a compartir y eso es un efecto muy lindo. ¿Por qué? Porque entonces nos empieza a enseñar también cuán diverso es nuestro idioma y pues también nosotras hemos venido aprendiendo todavía. O sea, yo soy mazahua hablante, nativo hablante, y la verdad es que también he venido aprendiendo en este proceso. Es un reto enorme, es la primera vez que en Empoderamiento Mazahua intentamos echar a andar un proyecto de esta naturaleza. Estamos por cerrar el proyecto y la verdad es que queremos que esto continúe. Es un reto enorme la continuidad, porque pues para esto se requiere no solamente tiempo, no solamente creatividad, sino también fondos y también pues tenemos estos retos que ya les compartí que nos encantaría en algún momento poder ya tener algo propio. Sin embargo, la esperanza sigue viva de que nuestra lengua perdure y se transmita a las nuevas generaciones. Y pues quiero cerrar agradeciéndoles infinitamente, Pawanka, por confiar en nosotras, por también sumar desde la distancia y desde el nivel internacional para impactar a nivel local la permanencia de las lenguas indígenas. Muchísimas gracias y creo que nos queda pendiente un video. Si hay oportunidad de que se transmita, qué bueno, y si no, lo intentamos perfecto. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much.
Quiere decir Dios te ayude, Dios te bendiga. Y hay otra palabra que dice Mishokimi la insimite, quiere decir Dios te bendiga. Estas dos frases se usan para deseárselo a la persona que nos encontramos, a nuestros amigos, familiares, novios, a quien nosotros queramos dedicarle una linda frase del día.
Okay, so thank you so much, our sisters from Mexico, Carolina, Rosia, and Carmen. Muchas gracias. There are some comments in the chat box. They're asking if they can, if the links can be shared. Of course, we will share them with you after this webinar. For the translation, maybe we will be asking our colleagues in Latin America to help with the translation for other partners in other regions. Okay, so we're nearing our conclusion, but we have the opportunity to share the video by Jennifer, who's unfortunately not with us. We have the video from the Yaku Laikipia Trust. This is a very interesting video.
My name is Jennifer Koinante. I come from Laikipia County. I belong to a community called Yaku. Yaku is among the small communities in Africa, and they live in Bogodo Forest. I'm the founder and the director for the organization that serves this community called Yaku Laikipia Trust. This language of Yaku is a Cushitic language. Originally came from Ethiopia so many years ago, like 4,000 years, and they settled in Bogodo Forest. The language was almost extinct as recorded by UNESCO. So like any other extinct languages that are getting extinct, we started doing some activities as follows. Before, we used to learn this language from mother or from parent to the children. And they used to tell the storytelling. They used to sing poems, riddles, songs and dances. They had their own beliefs, their own norms, aspirations, and they used to transfer all that through their own language. So anytime there is also rituals, prayers, when there is a wedding, a naming of children, all these things that they do, they help the language to be transferred. So those are things that we used to do. And some of these things are washing out in time. And some of these issues that now that is going to lead us to the problem or the challenges is a lot of things that that led to this disappearing of this language. So if we look at what we have done as a Yapu, we've started trying to copy what the other community used to do. So we've been doing a cultural event every year. What do we do to revive our language? Because if this language completely vanishes, then we will be left without identity. How do you call yourself a name that you don't even know how to speak? So we had to bring back our language through good partners. that we've engaged together and they came to support our organization here, Kolekita Trust, we were able to document through the, technology using an app. We developed an app that is Yahoo language app to be able to put all the data, all the information, all the language that we can be able to recover from the community, from the aging elders, from even the young people who are able to be brought up by parents who speak this fluently. How do we reach to our community that are locally located, or they live in very remote areas where sometimes there is no even internet and there are no computers, there is no electricity, there is no or lights maybe for even to use all this technology. So we decided that we needed to reach everybody and reach those people who are in the community and reach those who cannot read so that their children or those who are educated can read for them. So we wrote two books, one with pictures so that it looks like a beginner's book. We learn about the family members, we go to plants, we go to domestic animals. So we've written a detailed booklet with the pictures. So even if we cover maybe 50 or 40% of that language, it is a milestone for us as the Yaku community. So we have also written a simple grammar book. So we already have it. We have shared with our partner Pawanka because Pawanka came in and supported us. The issue of digital documentation, we were supported by FIMI, and we are continuing to do that, to document. We are volunteering as an organization, as a community, to ensure that we have our language alive again. I will want to speak regarding the challenges that we have. Though we have documented this book, it is very, it's not easy for this language to be taught and to pick up very fast for the people to continue speaking. The challenges that we have in that is that the partners that we get are short-lived partners, like 1 year. If you look at the teaching of languages, an example, even a local Swahili language that we speak in Kenya and in most of the East African countries, we have a lesson and we have a whole syllabus. We have schemes of work. We have lesson plans, and it continues forever. But if we look at the indigenous languages, and I think those who are working on the same, people who are having issues on their languages, the minorities, the indigenous communities who have been absorbed by other bigger communities, most of the indigenous communities are going short. Their language is shrinking in time. So if we cannot have a long-term program, it will be very difficult for us to make this language to be spoken and to be able to be alive like any other language. The other challenge that we have.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, it's quite a lengthy video, so we promise to send you the link to the video. It's really a very interesting video by the organization of Jennifer. Now, I'd like to open the floor if there's some questions or comments from everyone, or if the panelists have their last say on their sharing. Do I see hands or icons? But it was really a long-running conversation, and I could see the chat box, all of them requesting for links to the videos. It's really a very effective medium, the video, because it captures everything that we're saying visually and through sounds, through the ambient sounds of the communities where they come from. So all the discussions were truly inspiring, and of course, equally challenging. We had the seafaring islander peoples to mountainous communities, to villages and towns near and far. The assertion to keep the mother tongue, the indigenous language alive is sounding clear and loud. Indigenous peoples are looking into the histories of their languages, of their own languages, using both traditional and modern ways to sustain its existence and the daily use as an expression of communication of indigenous identity and weapon against their extinction. We can't thank you enough for all the wonderful lessons we gained in this exchange, and for those teachers who are really sowing the seeds of this wisdom among children. Let us not lose heart and courage, because all of this will bloom when we see the children growing up and loving their mother tongue. Okay, so to inspire us even more and to close this learning exchange, may we call on our esteemed guiding committee member, Namaka Rollins. The floor is yours, Namaka. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Okay, aloha. I don't know how much I can add to everyone. Are we all, oh, here, let me see. So we can see each other. Okay. Okay, we're all, yeah, wait, can we all see each other? The host has, what has the host done? Oh, it's spotlighted. Okay, you don't have to spotlight me. I want to see everybody. I'm good. Can we see everyone? Yeah. Okay, and I think we should, if we open up our windows, that's so we can see each other. Although we can't be face to face, we are sharing face to face in this new modern world it's amazing that we can be together like this from all over the world. And I think for those of you that are way past the midnight hour, that stayed on and everyone that shared, so the stories are so inspiring. And so those of us that we're now here in Hawaii, our sun is setting soon. I again am sharing with you on my screen is our mountain, our Mauna Kea, the tallest mountain. And you can see the sun. That's just a picture, but I wanted to have that on here for our screen today. So I want to again thank each and every one of you for your presentations, to our staff that prepared for today's exchange. So appreciate you all for taking the time to be with us today, and so to see all the beautiful faces joining us from all over the world. He leo mahalo palena ole keia ya o ko pakahia pau a meia manao kia kua pu me ka kua pau, and continue our good work. Aloha.
Did we have already our photo picture taking? Did our technical team get our photos? Yes. Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, we got our
Wondergrid. Thank you.
Okay,
See you
everybody.
all soon.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pawanka.
Aloha.
Thank you so much.
Gracias.
Hi. Ahuiho. Aloha.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot. Bye. Lovely to see you guys.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you to our panelists also.